Hello, my viewing audience. You know, this is Maxine Phillips McKoy coming to you with life strategies. Oh my gracious, do I have a phenomenal guest with me? You know, all my guests are special. You already know that. So what you need to do is you need to go and tag someone and let them know, come on and listen in, because we have Ariel Anderson with us. Let me give you some insight on Ariel. But before I do that, you know, Levelless is all about no levels. Remove those levels. Change your mindset. I want you to have a levelless mindset. And that means that what? No levels. You advocate for yourself. You know your worth. You succeed on your own terms. And that's what Levelless is all about. So this life strategy show is to bring individuals on so they can share with us the strategies that they have put forth in place in life to get them where they are today. Now, I know you're looking at my guest saying, wait a minute, Maxine, this young lady is a young lady. So what kind of strategies could she have in place? Well, let me tell you, never underestimate the age of a person. You have to understand the stage that the person is in. So let me just give you a little bit of background about who we have in front of us. We have Ariel Anderson, and not only does she serve at the River of Living Waters Ministry International in Chicago, Illinois, under the leadership of Apostle, what was that? Under the Apostle Stephen A. Garner, which that's where, you know, a lot of the intercessions is taking place. But I want you to understand that this young lady is in college. And Ariel, are you a junior or a sophomore?
I am an up and coming junior. I'll be a junior this upcoming fall of 2022.
Excellent, excellent. So here we are she's in college. She's going to tell us some more information about herself, but we're also going to be talking about a book that she has written and a workbook that's accompanying her book. I'm not going to do all the talking this evening. I'm going to let Ariel share some information. So rather than me give this history about what you do, how you do it, and all of these scholarships that you have gotten, why don't you just give us a little peep into the first part of your life up until where you are in college, and then we'll talk about the book. How about that?
Um, about earlier in my life, what led me to the actual major that I'm in, because I major in neuroscience. When I was about 4 years old, my mom had me in a private school. My parents had me in a private school, and they tried to tell me and diagnose me with autism. So they told me that I wasn't reading like everybody else, I wasn't writing like everybody else, and I wasn't at the place that they felt like a 4 or 5 year old should be at. So I ended up like sitting in a room full of teachers and different psychologists, and they did these different tests on me to test my brain and everything. And they told my parents, "Oh, your daughter is on the. It seems like she's on the autistic spectrum, and that's what how she's thinking is how someone on the autistic spectrum would think." So my parents, they began to pray, and they like their pastors, so they rebuked that word and they said, "No, my daughter is not autistic. I don't receive that. That's not the word of the Lord," and everything. And they literally like told them like, "We believe God, and we believe that my daughter is smart, that she can read and she can write." And so they began to pray, and my the Lord began to like lead them to other private schools that could help me and everything. And I ended up going to another private school for first grade, and they helped me, and different teachers helped me, and I became an all A honor roll student all the way from first grade to sixth grade. And even when I left, I was still like staying on top of the curriculum. So I really showed that what the people said in preschool and in kindergarten was not true. And my parents just began to help me, and I was just a really good student all the way up even through college. And throughout life, I really felt the need to help people that have problems in the brain, and I had a real like huge interest in the brain. And even watching this movie called Gifted Hands with Ben Carson, that was a big influence on why I wanted to study neuroscience, and even just helping people that I feel like aren't really understood and really think outside the box, I really felt a calling to them. And so now currently I'm studying neuroscience and I'm really getting into the deep parts of the brain and the functions of the brain. And it's really a interesting subject to be studying right now.
Let me tell you, what you just shared with us shows that you have and had all along what I call a God-given ability. Man cannot determine what God has given to you. We know that they always sometimes put labels on certain things, but look at the outcome. You know, what man has said one thing, God says that's not so, because she's my masterpiece.
Mhm.
And he has created you. And look at what you're doing. You're studying science, you're studying the brain. You're going to help them understand what is autism. You know, how are you misdiagnosing it? You know, what makes you think that a child has this? And, you know, when kids are in school, many times they're labeled. They're labeled as troublemakers. They're labeled as not paying attention. They're labeled as attention deficit. But many times it's about the learning style. And we have not even taken that into consideration, their learning style. Because I know my grandson is a rhythm learner, which means he needs to get up and move about and raise his hand and answer questions, go to the board and write things on the board. He's not going to be the kind of child who could just sit in a seat and expect him to pay attention to the teacher. He's going to be banging on the chair, wanting to stand up, wanting to dance, wanting to do all of this because he needs to move. And that's many times people are misdiagnosed because of their learning style, not necessarily always a deficit. I love the fact that your parents did not listen to that they took things upon themselves and said, hey, listen, we can work with her. We can look at different ways to introduce her to different things. So parents, these are some platinum nuggets. So if you're listening, I want you to write these things down, because learning styles is something that we must take into consideration when our children are learning. And don't teach them the way you learn. You have to teach them the way the child learns. And so we'll talk about that at another time, because I do a lot of workshops on learning styles and communication styles. But I want to talk a little bit more about with the school situation. And here you are, an A honor roll student. Even in, you know, college, you're going to college, you're not having any, you know, difficulty with that. You're winging that and everything. But I also understand that you got quite a bit of scholarships when you were coming out of high school going into college. So talk us a little bit about that strategy that you used in order to have all these people wanting to send you this money.
I know that starting my freshman year going into high school, it was kind of hard to grasp the new curriculum. So it wasn't like always easy. I did start off like kind of struggling at the beginning of the year because it was a new school, a new environment. High school brings different types of people, and sometimes you end up falling into the influence of others and trying to fit in and everything. So starting off, it was kind of a struggle, but then I began to like just really sit down and study and focus. And coming into my sophomore year is when I really started like really doing very well in school, and really knowing that the strategy I used my freshman year was like what I need to continue to do. Like really coming in, like first coming in, just really sit down and focus and study. And my junior year was actually the year that I also started writing my book. Is the um, yes, junior year during like study hall and everything is when I started writing my book. So along with writing my book, I knew I had to focus, I had to continue. And then that was when ACT and SAT tests were going on. So I had to also study for that, prepare for that, and go to different studying sessions for that. And so those grades over time was what was building my resume for colleges, and just overall having good grades. Is senior year, I started to send those grades to different colleges. I started to tell them like I'm also a published author, like I'm really like well grounded, really just really like putting myself out there to show them that they should have me at their college and everything. And so with them seeing my grades, seeing that I was an author, not just a good student, but someone who works in the church, does different things outside of school, was what really showed them like, oh, we need to have her here at our school and everything. And my grades and everything is what really got me those really high academic and merit-based scholarships. And I remember just getting my first letter, and I was really happy because it was just like it was more money than I expected from the first school, because it was a school in like Arizona, and they sent me like a lot of money for the first 4 years. And then other schools started to roll in. And then the school that I'm at now probably came in at about the beginning of right before the pandemic had started. And I was even able to visit that school
Okay.
before the pandemic really like hit, where we were like stuck at home and everything. So I had made my final decision of Loras College because they had an amazing neuroscience program. They had an amazing research program. And I really wanted to do a lot of research with the brain. And that was just my final choice. And it gave me a lot of merit-based scholarships. And I also got another scholarship for being a first generation graduate.
Look at that, first generation graduate. That is awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome. You know, one of my taglines is transforming generations. And
Mhm.
see, and so that's exactly what you're going to be doing with everything that you've done. You know, I know what the scholarships and all the schools are sending you, and it's like, how in the world do you make the decision on what school to actually go to? Because all of this money is coming in and all these reasons why they want you at the school. All of it looks good, sounds good, and is it good? But you kept focus. You kept your focus, and your focus was on that program that they offered, which is phenomenal. So I am proud of you for doing that. That is just great. And the other thing, we're proud of you for just hanging in there and going to school and doing what it takes. It's not easy. I mean, what the major that you're majoring in, we know it's not easy. And sometimes things appear to be easy for other people, but it's not, because it depends on what your abilities are. And so I just want to commend you for keeping that up. Now, I've had an opportunity to read the book. Ladies and gentlemen, Ariel is going to show us the book. So put the book up there, and it is called Prayer Strategies from Heaven. And she has a workbook to go along with it. But we're going to talk about the book. Ariel, when I was reading this book, it's beautiful how it's laid out, first of all. Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, there is a number that we're going to give to you, and we want you to order this book, because as we get through talking about it, you're going to want to have this book. Not only that, you want to get this book for a gift, so that you can give this book away as a gift to other young people, to other people, period. They don't have to be young, but to other people, because guess what? It is a book of prayer strategies. And the workbook, I love it because it breaks out and down what is a strategy, what is a prayer, and it helps you to understand how do you put those two words and make it work for you. So I am so excited to be able to be talking about this, Prayer Strategies from Heaven. But my first question, how did you come up with the name?
Um, Prayer strategies, I was really, before I even had like the title of the book, I just started writing. It was crazy how it happened, because I was just sitting down, and like God had told me like I needed to begin to write just a book about, well, not about, but with prayers in it to help people. But he was really emphasizing my people need to start praying with scriptures and using my word to pray, because that's really how you really I really believe that's how you reach God, with his word, praying his word and praying the scriptures consistently. So when I was, by the time of the middle, probably the last chapter maybe, was really when God was like, this is strategical. When you use scriptures, this is a strategical type of thing, and you're praying. And it was like, once I really sat down and thought about what he said, it was like it became a puzzle piece. And I was like, okay, this is prayer strategies, and I'm hearing from God. So these are, I really came up with the name prayer strategies from heaven just off of what I was hearing from God and when he was speaking to me.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love the prayers because in the book, ladies and gentlemen, every chapter is a prayer. And I know it had to be strategically designed because when I start looking at the different chapter names, so I'm going to ask that question without assuming. So how did you come about the different name? How did you name the prayers? How did that happen?
When I was really sitting down, like when I really tell people that when I was sitting down writing, it really felt like God was sitting right next to me because it was really like he was guiding me through. Because even when he first told me, like, I need you to write this book, it was just like, I was thinking, like, write a book. Like, it was just like, it was so, like, really different to me. I was like, me, like a young author, like, I never thought that would be something that would happen, me sitting down and writing a book and really being focused on getting the book out there. And so with the different names, it was like I knew they had to really stick out to people. Like people don't want to just see like, oh, the prayer for children, oh, the prayer for musicians. Like it had to be things that really stick with people that that they really that they're going to see and they're going to be, oh, I need to read this prayer. I need to get this prayer and everything. So what I one of my favorite titles in the book is probably Millennials Manifesto, which is about the young people and about the youth. And I knew like it was a prayer targeted for young adults and the youth, and millennials was just like a name that stuck out to me. And then manifesto was just like, it really gave me just a great feeling to go along with millennials, and it just really flowed together. So just different names kind of came from God's inspiration, and then other names just came from, oh, this, like, I know that this is something people want to read, and the title will really stick out.
You're right. And that is one of the ones, believe it or not, was my favorite as well. When I read it, and it's like, oh, this is so on point. And not only that, I want to share with you that the chapters that you have in here, especially the Millennials Manifesto, and the verbiage that you use is really a lot of the verbiage that I use here in the business, because it is about helping individuals to understand their purpose and that they don't need approval by anyone else, because God has already given you these abilities, and they're already, when he gave you the breath of life, he gave you the abilities. And so you don't have to have anyone else to validate who you are. But the importance of knowing who you are and whose you are is critical, is very, very critical. The other one that I loved reading was academic success.
Mm.
I absolutely loved that. So tell me about, don't have, we're not going to read it or anything, but just tell me about when you were writing it, how did that speak to you and what made you think of to give it this title?
I knew about my own personal academic struggles throughout preschool, all the way even through college, because nothing came easy to me. So I don't want anyone to think like, oh, that this was probably easy for nothing. Even now, I'm still working and trying to really get this neuroscience thing down pat. So even just with that, I really was really thinking about young people and even older people who want to go back to school and really need the motivation to just go back and get their degree and start on those dreams that they've been having. So um, academic success really was like something that started off with me personally. Like a lot of the chapters were just things that I knew that I've even went through in life. So academic success was like really something that was really sticking with me, because I was like, this is a prayer that I needed when I was even younger and really going through the different stages of life. And so that chapter was really for just everyone, anyone who wants to pursue a education, wants to go to college, wants to just do good in high school, and even like the ACT and SAT prayer. A little background on that, because that's a part of the academic success segment, a part of the book. That was inspired by when I during my junior year, one of my superintendents had asked me to pray over each classroom for the different people, because we had different classrooms that were taking the SAT that year. So I was going around and I was praying with different students, and they allowed me to do that. And I wasn't even in a private school at the time, which was crazy how God just orchestrated that and allowed me to go around and show like we need prayer and we need to really come together to ask God to give us the wisdom and the knowledge to really do good on the SAT, because at the time it was a really big test that you had to show to colleges that you just have the ability to do these different subjects that they're even showing in the SAT test. So I was really just touching and agreeing and praying with different students. And it was really nice how we were just joining hands and in a circle, and we just came together and I was just praying for the SAT.
I love it. I mean, one part that you talked about in here, talked about the math portion. And I was failing math when I was in college. I mean, general math, I did okay, but you start talking about calculus, oh my gracious. And so algebra and all of that. And it's like, I was absolutely failing it. But you said one thing is understanding the fundamentals of it. And that's what I was not understanding. I'm thinking is remote, is, you know, that you got to memorize this, and this. But really, if you understand the formula in math, you can work the formula and it helps you to work the math problem. But I'm thinking like it's spelling. You got to remember how to spell the word and then the definition. Math is a totally different animal, a totally different animal. And I would have math anxiety. And then when I go to class, I'll get ready to take the test. I would totally draw a total blank. Everything that I studied would be a total blank. And that's because I did not even know my own study skills, my own learning skills, you know, and I'm a visual learner and I'm a kinesthetic learner. And so that means the more that I would have worked the problems and understood the formula, then the easier math would have come to me. But I didn't know it in high school. Who tells you that? I don't know. I wasn't told. You might have been told, but I wasn't told, you know. And so therefore I do what is called test taking, just basic test taking workshops, so that I can help individuals to understand that there is a system to taking a math test or to understanding math. And many times they don't tell us that. We just have to find out the hard way. But you have it as a part of the prayer, and I loved it. And then the other thing that you have a part of the prayer is, you know, you say you can memorize it, but rather than just memorizing it, apply it.
Yes.
And then it's with you forever. If you memorize it, it's only going to be with you for a short time. And that's true. But if you apply it, then it's always going to be there because you're going to remember how you applied it, which means you have the fundamentals. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, we're teasing you all so that you can go out and purchase this book, because it's nothing like reading that prayer. Because when you read the prayer for yourself, you're going to internalize it and you're going to understand how it applies to you. And then the person that you purchase the book for and you give it to them as a gift, they'll have an opportunity to read each of these prayers and understand how it applies to them. And no matter how many times you read a prayer, it's going to speak something different to you each time. So I can just see putting what they call those little pink stickers, yellow stickers, orange stickers on the pages, so I know which one of those I want to get to the fastest. And I can see this almost being a daily read. One of these could easily be a daily read. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm giving you some ideas or not, but this is what's just dropping into my spirit. That, and that renunciation prayer, I mean, increase and double. Let me tell you what, I read that twice. I read that prayer twice. You want to increase and double? You need to get this book, and you need to have Ariel's prayer praying over you. And these are prayers that you can read every day. As anytime you want to read, you can read them. So what made you, I'm trying to think, how many prayers do you have in here?
I think it's about 20 plus prayers in there.
Yeah, okay. I didn't count them, but yeah, I love it. The Mighty Acts, how to create strategies. Now, you know, you're speaking my language when you talk strategies, because what is the name of this show?
Life Strategies.
Come on now, what's the name of the show?
That's true indeed.
And so you're speaking to me when you're talking about strategies, because it's about putting those goals in place and understanding how you're going to implement them, how you're going to take action. And you and I both know that if you don't have a strategy in place, you're subject to go in any direction. And you need to know exactly what direction you're going towards, because it's what he has for your life.
Mm.
So tell us what else you want us to know about this phenomenal book.
I would like to tell everyone what actually where it came from, where it was birthed, and how I came about even writing it um, in the first place and everything.
Okay.
So my mom, she went through having this a tumor right up underneath her chin, right here was a tumor that started to form, and she told me it had begun to form all the way from when she was a baby, and just even going up through life, and it just became like bigger over time and stuff. And so I had went to a doctor's appointment with her to because she wanted it removed, and she was going about the surgical way, and she wanted to see how talking to doctors about it would go. And so me, my mom, my dad, my little sister, we all went to the doctor's office with her, and the doctor was telling her, "Oh, if you get this surgery, it's going to be a 6 hour surgery. It's going to be very extensive. It's going to be like, it's going to be, you'll have a huge scar, and the worst thing about it was they told her that it had connected to a nerve in her tongue. So if they were to cut it, she would lose her ability to speak. She would lose the ability to taste, just different things that she really needed. Um, and so we kind of left the doctor's office kind of discouraged, because hearing stuff like that, like, oh, if she gets this surgery and she really wants it, she might lose her ability to speak. She might not be able to taste different foods and different other things that the doctor was trying to say. And so um, we had ended up going out to, we always go out to eat after we like go to the doctor's office. We went out to eat as a family. And so I was sitting there, and God had spoke to me and said, no one will cut on your mother, and your mother will not have surgery. And so I told my mom, and me and her started crying, and we were just sitting there because getting that, hearing that from the doctor was like very discouraging. Like we needed to hear God say something. So that was just a really big time of rejoicing and everything, because we had heard God in that moment. So the next day, like God began to like deal with me and stuff, telling me I need to create like a healing strategy for my mom. And he started, this was probably like 2 years before I even wrote Prayer Strategies from Heaven. So I was just in talks with God and everything, and He had revealed to me different healing scriptures in the Bible, like Isaiah 53 and 5, about being healed by the stripes of Jesus, and different other scriptures that talk about healing. And so I created my first healing strategy in the year of 2017 for my mother. So I went in her room every night, and I would pray this strategy over her, and I was just um, declaring the word of God over her and over just the situation and everything. And I just continued to pray, and we were just being consistent with it, praying every night and just believing God. And so she started, when she had gotten a call because she was looking into some other things, and this is like even a part of my neuroscience journey too, because I really love things in the medical field and everything. So she had gotten a call about there being this different way of how they could remove it that wasn't surgical. So it confirmed what God said about how no man would cut on her, and that there'd be no type of surgery. So she went in to speak to a doctor about this new procedure, and they were able to do it where they just put a tube into the place where the tumor was, and it just like came right out without any type of cutting, nothing extensive, just nothing of that sort. And so my mother, we just came out of the situation with the victory and everything, and knowing that God was true about His word, and that He was just really speaking, and He was like really helping us throughout that time.
Wow, that's powerful. That is a powerful story, powerful testimony, powerful works of the Almighty. And then the fact of what you heard, you were obedient, and you shared it with your mother. And so therefore she knew not to go through what, again, man suggested. And then, but God gave you the strategy, another one of those strategies from heaven, and that is beautiful. And now your mom is doing well, and we're going to have them on at a later date, the Bishop Anderson and Pastor Anderson. We're going to have both of them on. But in the meantime, we're still here talking to Ariel, our author. An author. I love it, the fact that, it's been like, 2 years? 2 years, right? Of almost 2 years. Yes. And show the book again, because when you got this prayer strategies from heaven, I love the fact that it looks like these are chess pieces. So tell me about that, the cover of the book. Why, what's the purpose of the chess pieces?
It's really showing that we can like really defeat the enemy and anything, like as long as we believe God and as long as we pray the scriptures and everything. Because as you can see, like there's a chess piece like laying down right there, really showing that God is standing up for us and knocking down everything that is coming our way, as long as we just stand with God and we just pray and believe. So it's really showing how the enemy is defeated. And as long as we pray and as long as we believe and have faith that God can do it, he'll fight for us in any situation.
As they say, release it, turn it over. As they take it to the altar and leave it. And I love that. I love the fact that when I looked at it, I could see the chess pieces. And then the other piece that I see on the front of the book, it's a hold the front of the book up for me again, because it's not showing through on my side. I see the clouds. I see the sky. So tell me about the sky piece. And the reason why I'm asking is that because one of the quotes that I use, the sky is not the limit. So tell me why the sky piece.
For the sky, what mainly came for that was mainly that I know that heaven, basically prayer strategies of heaven. So I had heaven kind of depicted as like the clouds and God being like closer to the clouds than the peace that fell over, just to show that just to connect the heaven piece to everything.
Okay, because many times when we say heaven, we look up, and then in the outside we look up and we see the sky. And I like that the clouds are nice and fluffy, and then you got the blue lining at the top. So this is well designed, and I love the color that it's not really a yellow color. It looked like it's a mixture of yellow and greenish, going on there, opposed to being pure yellow. So that's good. All right. So as I was reading the back of this book, it talked about that you're instrumental in not only establishing mass prayers for the student body, but I love the fact that you honed in on, like we said one time before, about the ACT and the SAT, because those are very challenging tests that one can take in order to be accepted into a college or a university. So, and I love the fact that you're the person asked you to go around and pray over those certain rooms. I thought that was very intuitive on that person's part too, because it means all those students who were going into the room to take these massive type tests and know it's going to be a lot of stress on their brain and emotions and anxiety and all that stuff that's going through us when we have to take a test such as this, that you were comfortable enough to do it. You accepted the assignment. And so as you were going through those rooms, you don't have to tell me what you said or anything like that, but as you were going through those rooms in prayer, what were some of the things that you were thinking about?
I was really, really thinking about the students in there. Like, I know that when you go in for a test, like you come in with different doubts and stuff. I was praying against doubt and even doubting your own self and not thinking that you're capable to take the test or do well. I was really coming against doubt and distractions and different things that might come to distract you, because I know a lot of people, they have a lot going on in their minds. So even their minds can be a distraction to them, and just the talking and stuff and going back and forth in their mind can be just a distraction and things like that. So that was what I was really um, coming against, just like your own self, just even destroying what you can do in the test room.
Yeah, because it gives them that encouragement.
Mm.
It gives them to empower them to let them know that if you prepared, you went through the preparation. So many times we go through different tests, and it's not a test that we've studied for, that we're going to sit down and say true, false, or multiple choice, but we go through tests in life. And that test in life, you got still have to stand. You have to still be strong when you're going through those different tests, and you still need to pray, because we're both sitting here, we are believers, and it's okay for to let you know that we are believers. And as believers, we believe in prayer. And in praying, we also believe in stepping out on faith. So we do believe that there is a thing that you have to have that faith, because faith without work is dead. So we want to make sure that we have faith, that we put work behind it, so we can continue to live and move on and live on, so our legacies can live on, and we also can get a chance to transform generations. So now I want you to show us the workbook. So tell us, how did the workbook come about?
So the workbook, it came from, I remember the first time when my book came out, there was this pastor that asked me to teach about prayer strategies. And I was like really scared, and I was really afraid, because I was like teaching on prayer strategy. I was, at the time, I was just focused on, oh, the book is going out and people are just like, they're praying this. I didn't know how I was going to teach or tell people about how to create their own prayer strategies, or really do this and like really teach it in depth of how she wanted me to do it. And so I was really like, I was very afraid. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to create a presentation. I'm gonna have to basically be like my dad and sit down and really like almost create a sermon in a way. And so I was like really afraid about that. But it's like it's really like it's really amazing how, like, when I get an assignment and someone asks me to do something, as soon as I sit down and put my mind to it, God will begin to like give me a lot of things. Like, I just started creating a PowerPoint, and God started giving me notes and like showing me different things in the Bible, saying like, oh, well, here was people who actually use prayer strategies, and they use the same exact methods for prayer strategies that you have in your book. And that was really crazy, because I didn't think anybody in the Bible used prayer strategies. I thought that was something new that I had that came about. And so when God showed me that, it really helped to show that people in the Bible did this. There's scriptures to go even with creating this PowerPoint presentation for prayer strategies. And so I had even ran it past my dad, showed him everything that I was going to be saying, because I had to have 30 minutes um, worth of things to talk about. So I had to fill in that time gap. So I went over it with my dad, and he was just really proud of me, because he was like, "Oh, look at you creating sermons, teaching people," and it was really just a proud moment for him, because this is stuff that he does on a regular. And I was only 18, I believe, at the time, so I was like sitting there teaching to adults and older and grown people about like prayer strategies and everything. So I was on the computer just like this, and I was teaching and everything, telling them the same like points that I have in my workbook. And so my mom was talking to me, and she was like, "You just need to go ahead and make that a workbook, which you just taught to everyone. That's a workbook in itself and everything." So probably later that year, when I wasn't too busy with college and everything, is when I sat down and began to put everything together in the workbook from that one prayer strategies workshop. I had came up with the workbook with God's help and everything, and with the help of my parents. And so then that's how that was released and everything.
Love it. I love it. I mean, I love the fact that in the workbook you talk about, create your own strategy for a renewed mind. Create your own prayer strategy for healing. Who in the Bible prayed, with strategies, why is faith important when you pray? And so these are some of the things, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to experience when you purchase this workbook. And then you also have room in order to write information. So as things are being downloaded to you in your spirit, you have an opportunity to write about it right there in the workbook. So it's an interactive workbook. Not only do you read it, but you get a chance to interact with it by answering questions and also creating your own prayer strategies. And you have one that says wisdom and revelation. And I'm a Proverbs person. Because one of the things that my company is founded on is Proverbs, and it talks about get wisdom, but in thy get an understanding, because it's all about, you can have the wisdom, but if we're not sure how to use it, then you just have the wisdom inside of you. And so we need application. It's all about that. What we talked about, work, make sure that you're working it. So I am just so proud of you, like I said. And the other thing that you talk about here is create your own prayer strategies for finances. Hello, finances. And so with those finances, we talk about making sure that our young people understand finances at the earliest age possible. Teach them how to save, teach them how to give, teach them how to invest at the earliest age possible. I know my parents did not teach us that, and nor did they know how to do that. But, once I, like you, first to go to college in my family as well. But then it also taught me about finances and how to budget, how to do a budget, and how to stick with the budget. Because you can do a budget, but if you don't stick with it, then your money can still leave your hands, like flowing water almost. So I like the fact that you have all these different sections in the workbook for people to interact with. Because remember, I told you I'm a kinesthetic learner. I like to write, I like to touch, I like to highlight, I like to bold, and I can do that. And a lot of people will not write in books. When they purchase a book, they will not write in a book. Well, that's not Maxine. So I tell you that, I can tell you that now, because I've already underlined, I've already bold, I've already highlighted some things in the margins, in the papers, the area where I can write some things, because it spoke to me. And as it's speaking to me, then I'm writing what my spirit is guiding me to write down, as a way of locking it in my brain to remember it. And that way I can do the application and apply it, because I'm all about learning and application as well. So these are awesome strategies that you're giving to us, young lady. And so age is not a factor. It's just a stage. And we can all learn from individuals. It doesn't matter what age they are. We learn from babies. If we watch and observe them, we can learn from a baby. And a baby will tell you when they dislike something, when they like something. So it's always a way of learning. So what would you say to some of our high school students now, as far as some strategies that you could offer them to put in place while they're in high school?
I would say stay out of the wrong crowds. Surround yourself with people who want to go higher. You know that if you're trying to go to a higher place, surround yourself with people who have that same mindset. Surround yourself with people who want to achieve good grades and don't want to be um, on the status quo or what society would say, because a lot of what goes on in high school is people want to be um, like the like other people. They want, if they see someone acting like someone in a gang, then they want to be in a gang, not knowing what being in a gang really is. If someone sees a girl that's really provocative, they want to start dressing like that. They want to do those different things. And so if you don't want to be labeled as that, then start to hang around people who aren't like that. Associate your people with the right people. Um, Really create good studying habits at the beginning of the school year, and not when you see your grades going down, because a lot of people make the mistake, including myself, of at the last minute when you see like your grade is a C, now you want to go talk to the teacher and say, oh, give me extra credit, or can you do this? And the teacher is like, oh, well, throughout the semester, I was given extra credit. I was given opportunities for homework, and you weren't even turning in the original assignments. So really staying on top at the beginning is how you stay on top throughout the whole semester in itself. And even just making good relationships with your teachers, talking to your teachers, making yourself known in the right way is what will really give you favor with your teachers, making good relationships and things like that. Even just behaving in class and not trying to be the class clown and the person that everybody knows, and trying to be popular in the wrong ways is what will really get you far in high school.
All right. So I think you read my workshop already. I think you've already attended my workshop on study skills because you just quoted up many of those same things that I talk about in the workshop. It's about time management, organizational skills. It's about building relationships. It's about who you're hanging around. I mean, I love it. You just went down the whole list. I'm going to have you as a guest speaker at my workshop. But that was awesome to be able to give them those tips and techniques. So I trust that you all wrote those down. And parents, or those who are listening, share it with, don't just hold this information within yourself. Start sharing it with other people. And also, hey, tag them when I post this. And when it airs, then be sure to tag someone and let them know that they need to listen to Ariel Anderson, because we have a phenomenal, phenomenal woman of God sitting here. And I'm saying woman, I know people might say, well, she's not. Well, yes, you are. You're female. You've been chosen. You're ordained to be doing what you're doing. And God is truly using you. And so I am so honored that you took the time out to come and be my special guest tonight on the Life Strategy Show, because that's what it's about, is about putting strategies in place. But, we have to hear. We have to hear what we're being told to do. And it drops into our spirit is one way. It can come through you can deliver a message. It can come through an infant if you pay attention to them. It can come from songs if you listen to it the right way. That's going to take you in the right direction. It comes from a book that you read and interacted with. And so, we can get signs from different things if we just pay attention, if we just observant. And so these strategies and the prayers from heaven this is a powerful book, young lady. I just want you to know. And I see myself, as I told you before, coming back and reading certain ones of these, depending on which day it is and what's going on in my life. Because sometimes you have a little book, the little prayer book, and it has June 27th, read this prayer. Well, I'm glad that there's no date on it. Because you can read it at any time of the day, anytime that you're feeling like you need it, you can come here and you can pick up this book and it's going to speak to you. And the other thing that I saw is you've got a lot of medical terms that you use, and the prayers that you pray over the body. It's almost like you took that prayer and you go from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. I love that. And in the back, you have those doctoral terms. So those terms that you use during your prayers, individuals can look them up in the back of the book. So you're not going to get lost with these prayers, even though it's coming from sometime a scientific perspective, but they are so powerful. Oh my goodness. And then you also share with us what scriptures that you have, you're referencing. And so, and then you got decree it, declare it, and see it. And that's when a big old smile came across my face, because one of the levelist mindset has a lot of that it at the end of whatever it, see it, know it, believe it. It has that in it. And so when I saw that, it's like, okay, she's been reading my books. But this is great. This is absolutely wonderful. And the last thing that I want you to talk about a little bit here would be the pastoral care, because we have pastors out there that their job, they have a heavy job at times, caring for, their sheep, that's following the leader and listening to the leader. So tell me about when you was doing this prayer over the pastoral care. What were you thinking?
Growing up, I always watched my dad as he was pastoring his church and just the different trials he went through, because it's not easy to be a pastor and like have to be a leading example for just many people and standing in the gap for people. You can easily fall into like depression and sadness because when you hear people calling you every day saying, "Oh, this happened, someone just passed away, I need you to officiate this funeral, I need you to do this." And just even the calls that I would hear my dad getting, he would set everything down and he would just go and pray and he would just sit in the gap with them and stand and believe with different people who were even in hospitals and in hospice. And just seeing him go through those different things and have to hear like a lot of different types of news on a daily, I just knew like pastors just go through different things, and then to even turn around and you help those people, and then those people are the same people who even talk down on you as a pastor and as their shepherd and stuff. You have to go through those type of things where you help people, and then they go and they even leave the church and they claim church hurt and different things like that. That has a huge impact on pastors and how they feel, because they gave their time and gave their just full heart and put their full heart into their sheep and the people who they shepherd and everything. And then those different things occur. And so I knew like I needed to really hit on praying for the pastors and really pray just like a hedge of protection over their mental state and just their health and everything, because those things can take a toll on you as a person. Because I believe a lot of people don't understand that pastors are people too.
That's
And
right.
people, they have feelings and they feel a certain type of way too, because they make connections with the people who are in their ministry and everything, and to just experience even pastoral hurt and from your own people who are supposed to be good to you and follow you, that can really just really hurt you. So even in the prayer, I included that, just like protect the pastors and protect how they feel, and just allow them to come to church and still give the word and pray over those people and everything. Just keep them just lifted up and everything. So that was really just even watching my dad over the years and knowing other pastors. That's what really inspired those prayers.
That is beautiful, because you're so right. Pastors need prayers too. They're so busy praying over us and taking care of our needs and our family needs and their family needs. And many times we say, well, who's helping the pastor? Who's encouraging the pastor? And you're right. Not everything is going to go just right. And if something is not right, the pastor has to take the blunt of it. And if it is right, it's nothing about giving him, saying, hey, that was a great thing to do. But there are so many emotions that go through being a pastor, and you're so right. So again, I appreciate you for accepting your assignment.
Mm.
That's how I look at it. You accepted the assignment. When God called you, then you said, use me, how you see fit. And you paid attention to what the Holy Spirit wanted you to do. And not only did you produce a book, but the prayer strategies from heaven, because anyone that picks this book up and read it, I tell you, it's going to resonate with them. It's going to resonate with them. And so again, you got the scriptures there, you got the medical terms there. So there's no reason for, when a person read the strategy and the prayer and they see a word, all you have to do is turn to the back of the book and it's going to define what that word is. So I love it. Absolutely love it. But I thank you so much for being here, but we need to make sure that we give the telephone number on how they can get your books. So I understand you want to give it. I'll let you give it.
It was 260 573 0660.
Okay. 260-573-0660.
Yes.
Okay. All right, because I had written it incorrectly, so I'm glad I did not give it initially.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. 0660. Okay, yes. And what we'll do is we'll make sure that we put this number when we post, when we post this on Facebook, that you will also have the number out there so you know how to go and purchase the book. I want you to support this young lady. She's doing a phenomenal job and she is a speaker. So if you need to have a person for a conference, don't hesitate. Call that number. And I think, will they be able to leave a message on that number or?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
With the process of calling, you can go through the different prompts and everything. They'll ask what you're looking for, even if you want to book for speaking engagements, or to also pray at an engagement. It'll ask for that. It'll also ask, would you like to purchase this book? And it'll take you through the different ways of purchasing.
All right, so there's different payment options. So just know that there are a variety of payment options that you can use in order to purchase the books. Don't forget that this is a phenomenal book to give as a gift, any occasion. Doesn't have to be a graduation, does not have to be a birthday. It could be just because.
Mm.
And pay attention to your friends and your family, because these prayer strategies from heaven and prayer, I truly believe that prayer works as well, Ariel. So we both know when you are in an agreement that many things happen. And so as we close this evening, first of all, I want to thank you for being here. And secondly, I want to thank the viewing audience for tuning in. I'm always here on Monday nights at 7 o'clock, called the Life Strategy Show. And you can always reach me at levelisco.com or Maxine@levelisco.com. But as I close this evening, I'm going to say, I believe in you and I know you believe in yourself, but I've asked Ariel to close us with prayer. I'm ready.
Father, in Jesus' name, I thank you for the viewing audience. I thank you for the people who are watching right now. I thank you that you would touch them. And I thank you that even the words that were said by both of us, that you would just touch them and that these words would even just penetrate their hearts and that they would even just feel your spirit with them right now. And I thank you that you would just fill even their houses with your presence. And I thank you for even those who are not saved and who do not know you as their Savior. I thank you that you would touch their hearts right now to even come to you and even have a want to read their word and have a want to pray to you and know who God is. And I thank you that even in these days that you are going to show yourself as God, even as you did in 1 Kings 18. I thank you that you would show yourself as God and as just show who you are and that people will begin to acknowledge you. And I thank you that even with everything going on in the world, that people will want to come to you and know you as God and that you are the only one that can help us and heal this nation. I thank you that you even said in 2 Chronicles 7:14 that if we turn from our wicked ways, that we would hear from heaven and you would forgive our sins. So I thank you that right now you would allow us to just turn from these ways and the different things that we're doing. And I thank you that you would heal our land and that you would even touch America and even the people that are watching right now, even heal their bodies and heal their minds and the things that they're even going through. And I thank you that you're just touching your people even now. And I thank you that you would bless everyone that is on here watching. And I thank you for everything that you do for your people. I thank you that you will increase your people. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.